All right, peace. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Giving double honors to 7130 South Chicago that taught me this truth. And giving double honors to all the brothers and sisters that the Creator has walking in these last days. With that being said, peace and shalom. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give my opinion or my critique of the situation that happened with Shannon Sharp over the past couple of days of him being quote-unquote accused of raping an OnlyFans model, or what they would call sexual assault. And also they had videotape of him talking to the female over the phone, and he's making statements about himself putting hands on her when he see her face to face, right? So, I've been listening to it. I've been doing my due diligence, and to my knowledge, him and the young lady, they have always had what you would call a very rough and kinky relationship, off and on, right? And she's been on text messages saying that she want him to put a big black baby inside of her and all this type of stuff. See, they have this type of relationship. And to my knowledge, now that I'm really talking about this, I was listening to something with Shaquille. No, actually, I forgot what show it was. But it was supposed to be a podcast with what's his face off of All the Smoke. I can't think of his name right now. But he said that Shaquille O'Neal was baiting people for information about Shannon Sharp so he can be able to put certain things about Shannon Sharp in the media, because him and Shannon Sharp had an issue back in the day over a female. Now, it's interesting that the brother was about to sign a $100 million contract with ESPN. And then all this stuff happens, whereas this young woman comes out of nowhere claiming that he raped her, right? And it's just like, it's a bunch of stuff that's quote-unquote going on. You've been hearing rumors about her being mad at him because he wore rubber while they was having anal sex and all this type of stuff. It's just a bunch of stuff that's going on. And I think that Shannon, he has to hold himself, he has to be responsible. He had to hold himself responsible for all this, is because he's almost 60 and he's running around acting like he's 20 years old. Shannon Sharp is a Hall of Fame football player, a podcast creator, and he's a TV sports analyst. He's very talented in his job that he does, but far as things that goes on in his life, from a personal standpoint of view, it seems like he has no control over it. And there's also been rumors about his sexuality just as well, but we're not really talking about that. We're just saying that there's a lot of things that's going on in his life from a personal standpoint of view that's all over the place. So to my knowledge, that this situation came out of nowhere, and now he's left to defend himself, and he's left out there in the cold. Because a lot of people that he's supposed to be friends with and things of this nature, there's no one really stepping up for this guy. It's because really you can't really step up for him, is because he put himself in this situation. And I'm not saying this to demean Shannon Sharp or say anything bad, because I think Shannon is really a good person. I just think that Shannon has got overwhelmed with a lot of the success that he has achieved outside of football. And he's making certain decisions that's basically dampering with his credibility and the image, or the image that people perceive him to be as. See, he's perceived as a person that's down to earth. They call him Unc for short. But he's running around like a teenager or somebody in his early 20s, messing with these women, and he's not really being responsible for these women. He's just running around doing him. And a lot of this stuff is starting to do what? Come back and bite him in the butt, because of his actions that he has taken over the years in regards of his relationship with women. And a lot of times, man, I had to talk to one of my elders about this. A lot of men, we're weak as men. We don't stand on principles. See, when Kevin Samuels was talking about high value man, I think that he didn't really explain that right, because he thinks that's the high value man is the person that necessarily is in the 100,000 club, the $1 million club. That's not a high value man. You know what a high value man is? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having that type of money and stuff like that, but a high value man is a person that has loyalty and integrity. See, not that he's perfect, but he knows he got all his personal stuff in order. See, he's not going to be getting caught up out here in a situation with a teenager, because the media is really saving Shannon Sharp to a certain degree, is because Shannon Sharp, I believe that he was messing with this girl when she was about 16 years old, because when I heard about it, they said they've been messing around ever since they was like around 2023, right? And you got to do the math. You say, well, if she's 19 now, and then 2023, that's around, she was like 16 years old. So that shows you that just because you got money, he's not thinking on a high value level. And another thing too is that a lot of times when we make it big like that and we're around a lot of these rich, powerful people in the entertainment world, we think that we have arrived. And a lot of times the people in the entertainment world, they don't even want you there. But they have to tolerate you, is because you the salt of the earth. I'm talking about the so-called Negro, which is the Israelite. But a lot of these folks, they don't want us in these circles. They have to deal with us is because we're the salt. We bring the seasoning to the meat, see? So a lot of times we make it to these big platforms and we do things like this. a lot of times we don't understand. We lose sight of what reality is. See, you know what reality is for the so-called black man? Reality is that we was not supposed to come over here in cargo slave ships and be on ESPN. We wasn't supposed to come over here and be playing basketball, being educated in some of the finest schools. We were supposed to be slaves in the country. See? And this and see, really, this is a teaching moment. What are we learning from this? And I don't care what color a person is. You have to be careful around anybody that is basically going to come into your life and bring your value down. But a lot of times we devalue ourselves in terms of what? The decisions that we're making in our lives. So the fact that Shannon Sharp is dealing with a woman that's a teenager, he's really bringing down his value as a man, because I don't think he's going to jail for rape and nothing like that, because I don't believe that he raped this woman. But what's going to happen is, even if he gets off, and it's a 99.9 chance that he's going to get off for this, right? He may have to pay a hefty, settle out package with the woman, but his reputation has been smeared. When people look at him, they're going to look at him as, quote unquote, a rapist. So that's not the quality of a high value man. See, a high value man is a man of integrity. He takes care of his family, or if he's by himself, he lives by different principles. See, he's not going to, even if you find a young woman as being attractive, you're not going to go out here and try to talk to this woman. Is because, why? Because 9 times out of 10, if you dealing with her and you get found out that you dealing, man, you going to prison. That's what's finna happen. We don't live in those times anymore where men married women at the age of 13. See, in the ancient time, this is what we was doing back then. But see, we don't live in those times anymore. And a lot of us know this, but we're still making these stupid decisions. And look, it doesn't even matter if the woman is underage or of age. We're still making bad decisions because we're weak as men. See, we're weak as men. So I'm not going to be too long with this, man. I just hope that Shannon Sharp can really learn from this situation and not put himself in a precarious situation that's going to ruin or dampen his successful career in dealing with sports news and having podcasts and things in this nature, and also having companies that's going to support him. So with that being said, peace, shalom.